I'm John Rork. I'm a professor in the economics department. I do state and local public finance and urban economics, which means I'm really interested in states and cities and kind of how they basically do taxation sort of stuff. I also teach game theory, which is an incredibly popular course at Reed for some unbeknownst reason to me, but we can talk about that in a little bit. Tristan, you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Tristan Nighswander in my third year at Reed. I'm a macroeconomist, so I'm sort of on the other side of economics from John, where I'm sort of looking at how everyone comes together. And then specifically, the applications of my research are about inequality. So thinking about inequality in developed nations, thinking about inequality between richer and poorer countries. And then I have sort of behavioral economics as well, kind of in the arsenal, which is kind of thinking a little bit more about economics from a psychological point of view than sort of the standard mathematical point of view. I teach classes covering all those fields, including Reed's first finance course that we've had on the books in a little while, which is sort of a behavioral finance class that gets us a little bit out of purely an economic worldview and into thinking about how financial markets and investments work.
We're a little bit unique in the fact that of the eight of us, we have five female faculty, which is very unusual for an economics department. And more importantly, we also have coverage of Latin America, Africa, and East Asia. Very seldom do you get that sort of broad international coverage within one department. Sometimes you need to kind of get it across. So we're kind of unique in that sort of way, and it's something that we really like. Let me talk about the major really quickly because we're slightly different than if you're looking at other econ majors or seeing how other colleges use it. Econ is different because we have no 100 level class at all. We just said, forget it. And so we start off, our intro class is actually a 200 level class, Econ 201, and it is a combination intermediate micro and intro macro. And the idea behind this is twofold. One, anybody can take it. So even though we say it's intermediate, it doesn't mean that if you've never taken econ, you can't take it. It just means you jump in with everybody else. It means that if you've taken courses in high school, if you've taken AP micro or something, you probably will see new stuff in intro. We have a placement exam. I've been here 11 years now, and every year we do the placement exam. And I think, Tristan, how many of you? I think we've had three. I think three people have passed it.
A few last year, yeah.
Yeah. So a couple last year. So, okay, we're up to five. So most people will end up placing in 201 as a place to start. It's just kind of how it works. But the idea in the 201, we make it intermediate micro, and then we make it intro macro. And what it does is that's our lone course at the 200. And it basically opens up every single course that you ever want to take in economics right afterwards. We do this on purpose to get you into the fields and into the stuff that interests you so that you can get to it immediately. So as a first year student, you should be able to get into a 300 level course, econ course, if you take 201 in the fall. But we are flat. So every field is a 300 level course. Every course needs 201 as the prereq, but pretty much every other course you're able to take right away. And it's a unique design to our major. Jump in, Tristan.
Just one point to that. Something I really do like about that structure, it means that once you're through 201, you might be in an upper division course like my behavioral finance course, where maybe half of the class has gone through all of the econ sequences. And this is like the last class they're going to take as an economics student. And then there's several students, this is the second econ class they've ever seen. So I really enjoy that because it means there's people that have certain fixed ways of thinking, given that they've taken so much economics, and students who are really, really new and really open and flexible in the way they're thinking about the field. So I've found that given a lot of our upper division classes are much more conversation focused, it's a really nice structure to kind of have the balance of people that are bringing very different perspectives from multiple fields or from just a pure econ focus. But it seems to really stimulate interesting conversations that you probably wouldn't have in your standard finance class if everyone there was a finance major and everyone had taken the same 8 classes to get there. So there are some setbacks in that if you've only taken 201, some upper division classes get hard, but we seem to give the resources that if you want to take a hard class, we're going to support you through that and you're going to have the opportunity to succeed. But there really are some benefits that I think are unique to the way Reed structures their courses.
Econ has the ability to minor. And so minors are a relatively new development at Reed. It's something we're very excited about. Econ was one of the first ones to jump on board and say, hey, let's do the minor thing. So that's also an opportunity for some people as well as you try to find your footing, is that we have the ability to do a minor in econ. Two things I want to emphasize. One is the department as a whole is very much community-based. It's one of our big reputations on campus. Our classes intermingle, so it's not like we have cliques between the different years. So our years always get together all the time. I am host of a weekly Friday game night that we have been doing every week on Zoom and Board Game Arena since the beginning of the pandemic in March of last year. Back when we can actually be in person again, we have a very active softball team. We have active other sorts of things happening on campus. There's usually a party at my house every year for students. My daughter loves to host. She's now 11. She's been doing it since she was 3.
So we have a student-run investment club. I say I advise it. I sign the receipts for pizza. I really am hands-off. I'll show up when students ask. I'll do a sort of like early year finance overview for the new club members. But it's really a student-run club where they manage, I think it's up to, because of their great management of the money, somewhere around $80,000, that this group of students has complete control over where it's invested. So if you're in any way interested in investment and you are a little turned off by the fact that Reed doesn't have finance, we have that investment club, which is an opportunity to get your hands on someone else's money early, which is the best way to learn with someone else's cash.
The other thing we should talk about is probably the question for the parents who aren't with you, which you're probably happy, but they're going to ask you like, what happens when you graduate? Because that's always the question that comes to mind. And so we have a very good relationship with the Center for Life Beyond Reed. And what I like to say is that we place really, really well. And it all depends on kind of what you want. Let us know so that we can figure out how to get you to where you want to be. Now, you may have no clue, in which case, let us know that you have no clue so that we can help you figure out how to get a clue to get to kind of go to where you want to go. Our students, we have students who decide they want to go on and get PhDs or masters or other degrees later on. We have a whole bunch of groups that does that. We have a group that decides they want to go into the consulting world, so kind of analysis group. We have somebody going to Bain next year, so we have that route. We have a lot of kind of think tanky sort of researchy places. DC is a big place for us. Urban Institute, Brookings, that sort of stuff. We have a student at the Philadelphia Fed, so the Fed is an option. So there are a lot of different pathways.
One really nice thing about Reed is that we have a lot of summer opportunities for you to kind of try out what you might be interested in. We have a lot of support for internships, paid or unpaid. If unpaid, the college can sort of direct money your way to get opportunities that otherwise wouldn't be attached to funding. We have a lot of opportunities to work with faculty in the summers to do research. So if you're thinking undergrad is a great way to get into a grad program and maybe further education is in your future, we kind of let you practice what it looks like to be a researcher. And it's not just kind of like doing the coffee run level work. I have students that have written really advanced code to scrape data for me, students who have translated data from PDFs into Excel and have worked on my analysis for sort of these brand new data sets. A student right now helping me write a paper on how we could think about the comic book market as an investment marketplace. And we're looking at how Marvel games have sort of manipulated those prices. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do as an undergrad in your first, second, third summer before you get to that senior year where you're like, oh crap, what is life after Reed like?
Yeah, and had a question that was messaged directly to me, and that was about the concentration on quantitative economics and what the concentration might prepare a student for after Reed, some potential fields or kind of areas they might be able to go into.
The way the major is structured is that we have a strong group of quant courses, so quantitatively heavy courses, and we have a group of courses that are not quantitatively heavy. We think that there is a mix between getting into the math and getting lost in the equations, and there's a mix between getting into the policy and understanding the intuition. And we think that there is room in economics for both types of thinkers, for both type of approaches. And so both of those are welcome and have paths available to them. So we are not a major where you have to get drowned in the math, but we're a major that if you want to drown in math, you can go ahead and drown in math. We have the ability to do that.
I think one big help of the quantitative track is that's sort of more, if you're interested in graduate school, taking some courses from that track would be really helpful. Not necessarily that you would have to be the quant track, but having taken our more quantitative econ courses, that's what a grad program is looking for. As much math and sort of quantitative rigor as you can fit in. Also, if you're going to go in the finance investment side, I think the more quant, the better. The financial world wants people who are computer savvy or quantitatively savvy. So I think that route is helpful in that dimension as well.
You can do the quant approach and then go heavy on the stats is the other place that I would say. So we have a very strong and growing stats department and a group of statistics offerings over in the math department. In game theory, I really believe that one of the most important things is that you experience the course in kind of a academic way. Game theory is all about strategy. It's all about learning how to think. And it's all about how to kind of anticipate a situation. What do I think somebody else is going to do? And then how do I respond to that and anticipate that? So game theory is known as the board game class. So every week I pull out a board game and we play it. And then we analyze the heck out of it and try to figure out what's the right strategy, who should be winning this game, where did you lose it, all these sort of things. And then at the end of the semester, the thing we do is then we have a 5 versus 1. So there are 5 games that are played simultaneously, the entire class against me. And then the idea is that every time the class wins one of those games, they get a question off the final. And during the semester, I have been so obnoxious with my students, because this is what I do, that I win pretty much all the time, because I try to crush them. I get in their heads, I mess them up, I do all sorts of things just to kind of see what you actually work with. And then when we do this, they usually win about 3 out of the 5.
Whatever class you're taking, there's going to be a varied approach of conversation and lecture, and in John's case, board games. And we just try and fit our material into whatever boxes keep us as faculty entertained. So I think the engagement is probably the thing that comes away as the most standard thing across all of our courses. You're going to have faculty who's excited about the material and who thinks that they're presenting it in the best way possible. But that can mean a lot of different things based on who the professor is.